Right. Well, I am here today with Simon Forster from Sweden. We are looking at the Pluto generations, and we've made our way to Pluto in Scorpio. This one should be good. I'd like to welcome Simon back to Guiding Stars. Welcome back.
As always, thanks so much, Kristen.
Wonderful to. I always look forward to our show. Every week I look forward to the show, of course, but anyway, really looking forward to today as well. And I know you've always got things going on, Simon, so if there's something that you'd like to let the listeners know about, please do that.
Yeah, completely. So anybody that's listening to this show today that is part of the Pluto and Scorpio generation, on my website you can find me at simonforster.com. There is an actual article that I wrote that is aimed at trying to get some perspective on how this generation is operating. So I highly recommend reading that article. It's just under Articles tab. You just find the Pluto and Scorpio generation. And it's, it's one of my favorite pieces, to be honest.
Oh.
And learn your chart, just a new way to understand how to learn your astrology and how to get connected with what your natal chart is offering you, and how you can find yourself operating through your natal charts in a way that doesn't make astrology just about personal or personality quizzes, but actual soul work. What have you actually come here to understand about yourself? So Learn Your Chart is also a great opportunity to have an astrology reading, but to also get, I think it's 25 videos that I created specifically for each, for every person's astrology. So you get these videos that talk about what your signs mean, and then you get to learn about that, and then you have a reading so we can get down to the actual soul stuff versus, trying to figure out what your signs mean first before you can really get to the emotional stuff. So, yeah, and that's also available on my site as well.
Yeah. Awesome. 25 different options, yeah. And does that involve, Pluto in the houses or something about the nodes, or?
Yeah, precisely. So it's basically you get a Pluto video, which is about 45 minutes long, and it talks about how Pluto makes trines and squares and inconjuncts in the natal chart, like we did in our previous series. So you understand how the actual Pluto is operating through the house in great detail, with loads of keywords, etc. And then the rest of the videos, which are 24 of them, are basically so we start with the sun, or we start with the south node, wherever that's in the chart. So you get a video of about 3.5 minutes long talking about your south node, and then your south node, what sign it's in. So you get 2 videos for each planet and each node, and you get the nodal ruler as well. So it's a great way to actually understand how evolutionary astrology is constructed. Mm-hmm. And all these videos you have for the rest of your life as a way to go, oh, look, now I have the map.
Wonderful. Sounds like a wonderful, great foundation for people, springboard to go deeper.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really incredible. I know that back in the day when I was in the schools, I was fortunate enough to be able to go to the live schools. And at the time, we weren't really working with the nodes of planets. There's plenty of information just in the paradigm itself. But over time, then, we started working more with the nodes of planets and asteroids, and obviously on the message board. There's been years and years, too, of different people developing themselves through the paradigm as well. And I'm going deeper, and there's just so many nuances, really. Obviously, we're never going to be done, right? We'll never stop learning, and I can tell you that, and I'm sure you feel the same way, but it's been 18 or 19 years of every day immersed in this work, and every day I still feel like I'm learning and growing and humbled by this work. So it's just a gift that it continues to expand in any soul that is ready for it. So thank you for what you do here.
Yeah, and honestly, from my point of view, it's not even something that I feel like I need to try, to be honest, and that's why I love it so much, because it's not like, oh, okay, I have to do this. It's like a feeling that grabs you as you connect with it more intimately, and then all of a sudden you realize that it's really this beautiful knowledge that's as it kind of becomes more mutative in you, you start to see its beauty. And that's what I keep on telling my students all the time. I'm like, you're not learning astrology just there. It's like this knowledge is here to help you heal yourself. It's here to bring you more soul awareness. And if you can see it from that point of view as the primary view, then everything you interact with, including when you get a task to learn or to do an exercise, and you come back and the first thing that you say is, I hope I did it right. And I'm like, but that's great, but can you see the Virgo archetype there? And they're like, what do you mean? Well, it's like the Virgo archetype is saying, am I good enough? Whereas the message was the values and the effort. And we learned something through the value and the effort. You tried. You got to understand what your exercise was, and you grew a little bit. And it's like teaching the astrology as a way of just understanding these archetypes on a human level, right? Just not words, but there's an actual experience, that direct experience. And that's what really fascinates me about this. It's like you just see it as a way that it's the work. It's like, like I said, the knowledge just heals you. It works. It does all the work for you. All you have to do is just interact with it and watch.
It's true. You were just about being receptive and open.
Yeah.
And it's really, it's not, and speaking of Pluto and Scorpio generation, it is not about the mind, so much more about just osmosing it in a sense,
Yep.
in a feeling way, in a penetrating way. I mean, that's the fastest way to get into it and to be able to work, with the paradigm is feeling through that water trinity. It's so powerful. So, what do you have to say about how do you want to set this up for the Pluto and Scorpios out there?
That was such a fascinating conversation. I got all worked up about that, but I really have been kind of anticipating this conversation for a very long time, to be honest. So I'm super amped up and excited, and the channel seems to be pretty clear.
Well, if we need to do 2 shows for it, we can.
Yeah, we'll see. But it seems like there's quite a lot to talk about. But then again, we've got to kind of understand the relationship between Jupiter and Virgo, right?
Exactly.
Okay. So maybe just to open up a little bit about, why do this thing? Where am I coming from when I'm sharing this this generation series? And to me, the reason why I'm sharing it is because I feel that as I look out into the world, as I look into myself, let me put it that way, as I look into myself and I watch what I like to watch in the outside world and what I'm sensitive to, I find myself incredibly inspired and attracted to the nature of energy and consciousness weaving its way through the different time frames. And as those different time frames are manifesting themselves, or the light or consciousness is reflecting itself through an archetype, through a time frame, through a generation, I like how that is revealing to us this unfolding plan that is humanity's evolution. Okay? And so each generation in themselves and each soul kind of incarnates into a time frame that helps them evolve their own individual journey. So just as we've been talking about the time frame in which we had the Pluto in Leos, the Pluto in Cancers, and the Pluto in Virgos, each of you have had a specific kind of experience around you in the outside world and obviously in your home environment and the conditions that has really shaped the way in which you have formed an emotional relationship to not only your soul but to your life. And that being kind of almost, they're not separate in that sense, but we have to kind of just make that distinction so that we see that there's an individuality engaging into something that's very holistic. So I hope I'm clear in what I'm sharing here. So, and of course this relates to all generations. It's not, but we've done those, and of course the Pluto and Libras as well. Each of us have got our own specific stuff. So Pluto Leos, the ruler of your Pluto is the sun, and of course that's into this lifetime in which on the most mundane level, it's like you're going to follow your heart. You're going to follow your dreams in that sense. On the most deepest level, I feel that you are a catalyst for the Aquarius age. But when I put the Aquarius age into context of what I'm saying, I'm not talking about some generic stuff that's been on the internet. I'm talking about the humanity's relationship to individuality on the most, like, sensitive level, that we are so unique within our process that even the consensus way of reality is rejecting our own individuality and creating a world in which we live in, which doesn't honor it. So some people like to eat food at night and sleep during the day, but their sort of situation puts them in a place where they don't know that because it's been conditioned out of them at such a young age. So that Pluto polarity point in Aquarius is really to bring out the shift into self-awareness as a way of healing ourselves. Okay, so this being a big shift. And to me, this is probably the theme of this whole entire conversation, is how does each individual generation reflect the ongoing evolution of consciousness shifting into the Aquarius age. And again, like I say it very lightly, the Aquarius age is just a name given to a transition into reality in which we observe things from a completely different space. It's not about looking at some existential savior, Pisces, and being of service to that, and spirituality and life being completely separate. This is about merging the two worlds together on one level, and each generation bringing in a dynamic that is allowing us to watch this evolution. So by the time we get to the Pluto and Scorpio generation, we've got some really, really fascinating transits taking place for you guys. Now, when you look at the time frame, we're talking from 1984 up until 1995, okay, Pluto and Scorpio. And you get born into this time frame in which there is this beginning phase between 1984 to 1988, where there isn't anything major going on. Some of you have got your transits of your outer planetary transits of Uranus and Neptune making their way from Sagittarius into Capricorn. Some of you have got Uranus in Capricorn and Neptune in Sag, or should I say the other way around? Neptune's just entered Capricorn and Uranus is just finishing off the Sag stuff. And then we get into the kind of process where this conjunction is now beginning to take place with this outer planets. Now, anybody that knows my work knows that I'm in some way, shape, or form kind of really focused on this. And I speak a lot about this, unfortunately. I almost beat it to death. But Uranus and Neptune's conjunction that begins to form and then takes place and then kind of moves into its new phase conjunction. So evolutionary astrology looks at cycles. And, of course, Uranus and Neptune moved into a balsamic phase conjunction around about 1988, 1990, 1991, made a conjunction, and then began its new phase conjunction, I think, 1993, 1994, okay? And in those three stages, between 1984 to, say, 1989, there is a lot going on. Like your south node, the south node was in Scorpio, and we had the south node conjunct Pluto. So many of you have got that really strong story where the soul has had so much resistance in its past life, in its most recent past lifetimes, that a lot of your themes are about having to deal with letting go. And so there's these themes of loss that are occurring in your life, the themes of abandonment. And I don't know much about the betrayal part. It seems a bit subjective in terms of what betrayal means for certain people, but the abandonment and loss was a big theme for you, okay? And you can see that it can be manifested through different ways in your life. What I've noticed a lot, it's got to do with souls growing up or children growing up with the signature, and maybe there's a lot of death around when you're growing up and you're really, really looking at how life can be so fragile. And then you have this beginning phase of this really, really phenomenal experience, which is actually, to be honest, from my point of view, one of the major reasons as to why we're not only using this type of technology to connect and speak over the airwaves like this, but also the reason why we are so connected with mobile and technology, okay? And that is this Uranus-Neptune conjunction that began to take place, and that was in Capricorn, okay? And for a lot of you that have got this balsamic phase conjunction, in other words, where if you had to take Neptune's stationary in the chart, right? I hope this is not too abstract, but Neptune is stationary, and Uranus is behind Neptune, and obviously as it's moving closer to Neptune, it's bringing the themes of surrender, it's bringing the themes of letting go, it's bringing the themes of the experience of deep internal surrender and process completion. And then, of course, you have the conjunction. Like I said, if I remember correctly, it's like 1993 that it was at its most intense. And this today is honestly, like what we see in the world today right now. If you just had to look in the world right now, that conjunction that took place, to me, that is the result. What we see in the world today, the complete and utter phase, the collapse of society as we know it. And the structures, Capricorn, the way in which we find inspiration and spiritualization, Neptune, and the way in which we interact with our individuality, Uranus. All of that whole entire structure, that has literally what that conjunction was about, a complete and utter metamorphosis of it. And it's fascinating because the archetype of Scorpio is about metamorphosis. It is about the process of evolution itself. Okay? And I know that there's the time going to come up, so I don't want to maybe get into something here, but is there anything you wanted to share maybe,
just
Kristen?
that, we always talk about in EA that anyone with strong Scorpio, Plutonian, 8th house signatures, aspects to Pluto, of course a Pluto and Scorpio born soul, they're here to evolve. And the big joke is always they're either going to blow this place up or metamorphosize it. It is the archetype of metamorphosis, as you said, and intensity. So, yeah, it's, that whole generation has come here to make some pretty profound personal changes as well as in this world. So we'll move to a break, but we'll be right back with Simon.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Shh! Over here. Here's a secret for a virus-free computer. ESET. They've been a pioneer in the antivirus industry for over 25 years. 25 years of innovative, top-rated antivirus protection. ESET's award-winning security solutions provide a safe online experience for over 100 million home and business computer owners. They are so affordable, fast, and simple to use. So be gone, you blue screen of death. ESET's on my computer. If it's not on yours, visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on ESET now.
iHome Audio has become the #1 brand in the iPod, iPhone accessories market. Visit the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on iHome Audio now.
What would happen if you didn't follow the established path? Would you feel scared or proud? Could you explain that helping the people of Peru improve their own community would also have an effect on your own? Would you rather make your own way or spend a lifetime saying, what if? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps. To find out more, call 1-800-424-8580 or go to peacecorps.gov.
I'm William Shatner, and this is Jimmy. Animals like Jimmy are often left behind by people fleeing hurricanes, fires, floods, and earthquakes. These abandoned animals cannot survive on their own. If you must evacuate your home, please never leave an animal behind. If you absolutely cannot take your animal with you, never leave him helplessly chained or caged. Many animals die because they cannot escape fires or rising waters. Animals need your help. Thank you.
Call PETA today, 757-622-PETA.
Okay, so you see a product you like on your favorite TV show, and you're going to write the number down. But if you're like me, you run around trying to find that pen and piece of paper, which magically disappears every time you need them. Then when you get back to the TV, they're already on to something else. Well, now there's a solution. Seen on TV products have combined all the best TV offers online and in one place. It's one-stop shopping. Just visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on the Seen on TV products. Then, who cares if that pesky pen or paper does a disappearing act?
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right, we are back. I'm here with Simon from Sweden, discussing Pluto and Scorpio generation, how appropriate for the current times we are living in. Yeah, and I'm going to share this, even though it's not a political show, but there's a study after the election here in the States, and they said all the millennials, which would be the Pluto and Scorpio generation, right? Some of them some of them are in the early degrees of Pluto and Sag, but if all the millennials were the ones that just voted, every state would be blue except for 3. Democratic, liberal, nobody's conforming. Pluto and Scorpio generations are not conformists for the most part. Of course, we have our consensus reality, but a Pluto and Scorpio in a consensus state is far different than a Pluto and Scorpio in another sign.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
But that's, it's like, honestly, it's almost as if my mouth can't speak because there's so much available information. So I'm really being tested on my squares here because I have to find the right sensitive information to say so that it doesn't sound like I'm just got verbal diarrhea. But I love talking about this generation because I can do it forever and a day because of the amount of stuff that's there. But, to kind of spin off a little bit about what I was doing with the introduction was that if you look at the way in which the current, energetic climate is going at this point in time, when you look at that Uranus and Neptune conjunction here that took place in 1993, okay, we're dealing with a complete and utter, mutation within the structures that we as human beings use and have used and will use in the future as a way of relating to ourselves. There's so much depth in this process, unbelievable, in terms of what is going on. Now, let's start with this, okay? Let's start with the archetype of Capricorn. Okay, Capricorn in itself is, if we had to be very, very simple about it, it's the glass. It's the glass that allows water to be contained within. Okay, it's a container. It's the boundary. It's the natural formation that takes place once the flower of life begins to form after 5 or 6 circles, concentric circles. It creates a natural square, and consciousness only knows that it's conscious once there's a reflection of it, because then that creates that reflection. And so Capricorn in itself holds the boundary for all of us to have an emotional connection with, right? We all are able to then identify with ourselves when we are connected with something that reflects back to us our identification. So when you've got something like outer planets that, are not something that every single, especially in consensus reality, and because Saturn and Saturn's is ruling consensus reality, Capricorn, boundary, safety, right? It rules consensus because in consensus it needs safety to feel like there is a sense of identity. It's maturing that. So when you've got these outer planets of Neptune and Uranus beginning to affect the structures of our self-identity and reshaping them, and yet we don't have the spiritual knowledge within our communities to understand the nature of life's mutative process, then what we have here is complete insanity and disassociation and complete lostness and madness reigning, because not only do we not have the correct elders supporting this process and for us to develop the emotional maturity and how to respond to this, we're also completely and utterly lost to the dynamic that in order for us to reestablish a structure that will allow us to be balanced in an equilibrium, remember Capricorn correlates to that centeredness that's inside of ourselves, then we're going to be swinging from left to right consistently all the time, losing our emotional stability, creating this insanity that is being experienced. And part of that process is everybody trying to run around with their emotional identities and egos connecting to something, and yet that structure that is there to support us, to keep us safe, to allow us to feel as if we can be relaxed enough in our body to be able to operate and function from our highest sense, well, that's not available. So what we have is exactly what we have, right? This complete and utter, I mean, it's actually pretty bonkers to think about how much self-reflected awareness we have as a humanity right now. Like, if you had to, because, again, Capricorn correlates to the self-reflected awareness. It's that part of us where we're in jail, and that's where we've got to sit for a period of time and get real with ourselves. So Pluto's transit currently right now is in Capricorn, and it has been transiting the Pluto and Scorpio's generations, Uranus, Neptune, that they have in Capricorn. So no wonder you guys right now in this world are having Pluto transit those outer planets in Capricorn, and then you see what's happening outside of you. It's like if you ever got to have an opportunity to know what your karma was like and what you're here to do in that sense, just look outside at the climate, and you will see exactly what it is. It's complete and utter mayhem. It's complete and utter loss of meaning and connection and stability and the ability to have any set structures in place. But on another level, it's not something that is negative in the sense where, oh, you know, we've got to feel victimized by it, even though it can feel like that. It's more along the lines of like, there is an actual entire mutation of our structures that has come to an end. That cycle has completed itself. We have learned what we have learned in that process. And from my opinion, we have learned and mastered the masculine principle to the point where we can grow our own food and provide food for people in supermarkets at the flick. Whereas, like, many, many years ago, we never had this luxury, right? So there's a wonderful, like, structural form where we've mastered capitalism and we've built these amazing towers and we've mastered aviation in that sense. But now it's time to bring equilibrium, in which we start to begin to become intimate with nature, where nature and us understand the balance, where we can't just pile drive in one direction in the masculine principle and develop and build skyscrapers and create more wars and forget about the other part of this existence, which is the natural feminine principle of nurture and find soulful experiences in which we live in a world where we've developed very beautiful houses to sustain ourselves, and I love my shower, and I'm sure everybody else does love a shower, and we don't have to sit outside and, you know, die of the cold, but for us to develop new structures where solar energy becomes more available to us, where we begin to say, hold on, maybe it's not a good idea that we're using, like, fossil fuel. Maybe we can actually harness the solar energy that is available to us and begin to create new structures and new homes that support this process completely. And so in there lies the genius of Neptune and Uranus, the geniusness that is in the Pluto and Scorpio generation, that when you fully begin to mature in your process and we get through this mayhem, which can be called the Great Storm, as it were, and we have Pluto transit Aquarius and we accelerate our evolution, we'll begin to see that this process right now is just the deadening. It's like it's clearing out the stuff that was patriarchy. It was looking at where we have been and saying, look, guys, okay, that was fun and exciting, but it's not serving us anymore. You can clearly see that this is causing more trauma than it is beneficialness, right? Mm-hmm. So let's kind of think a new way of developing a structure in which we can support this more harmonic, higher meaning existence, which when you talk to any Pluto and Scorpio soul, at some level, they're into the symbols and the sacred symbols and the esoteric teachings and the higher meanings of the planes of existence, you know? And that's what's so beautiful about EA as well, is that it even said when the Pluto and Scorpios come in to their process, they'll be asking the question, why? And that from that moment onwards, EA will become incredibly popular because it's the very material that answers that question.
Right, exactly.
I have had it proved to myself because every Pluto and Scorpio that comes through to me, and this is no disrespect for the other generations, but their intensity level when it comes to knowing the soul is on a different level. It's like at the age of 22, they're already saying, okay, what is my shadow work? Let me get with this, you know? Whereas most of us kind of still have to go through the process of disillusionment before we go, okay, is there a higher meaning to this experience? Or, you know, we first have to shatter some of the the outdated ideas of what life has been like. And again, that's not our fault entirely. It's just the way in which the Maya works. But for the Pluto and Scorpios, they're like really, they're in there. Now, for many of them in the consensus state, this still looks like, consistently on technology, so plugged into the internet. I've watched it with a lot of the computer gamers, etc. You look at their college dorm, and it's just completely matrix orientated, right? There's so many wires going on. They're completely plugged into the technology, and you can see there's the abandonment of the mother archetype, the feminine archetype, because the whole entire place just looks absolutely horrendous. You can see they're not connected to the physical reality. That's that Neptune-Uranus thing again. And also, to just get my breath over there in terms of this tangent I'm going on, between being plugged in to the reality is that in the consensus state, it's like energy drinks to go faster, to spend more time doing the things that they want to do, going to the gym, and completely not destroying their bodies, but building themselves up to the point where they are incredibly huge and incredibly strong and incredibly intense. But yet what they're really, 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 really doing is saying, hey, by the way, inside of myself, on a deep level, I feel so intensely, but this world is so messed up that if I had to truly feel out there, I would go insane. So I'm going to need to protect this. I'm going to need to protect myself. So the way I do it in a consensus reality is this complete shield of like masculinity in the male form, and the feminine kind of just like hides behind the masculine form. Well, not so much in that case, but they're incredibly strong. These guys see through everything. It's intense.
That's for sure. I mean, it is like that X-ray vision and that ability to just like penetrate to the center of something. It's the gift of Scorpio, without question. All right, so we need to move to another break. We'll be right back for more with Simon Forrester.
Find out about Kristen Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristenFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of Evolutionary Astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary Astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristen's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristenFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Let's face it, we're all looking for great products at a great price because it's just a good way to shop and get the most value for your money. Well, here at HealthyLife.net Radio, we do that too. We do it for you. You won't find advertisers or affiliates that are not in line with our vision of bringing people a positive, happy, and healthy life. Although many advertisers come to us, few are chosen. Our advertisers are handpicked and specially selected to support our vision and give you great products at a fair price. So the next time you're looking to buy a product or a service, check out HealthyLife.net's advertiser page. Click through our advertiser partner sites. You'll be glad you did, and so will we. Because you'll help support HealthyLife.net, and we can keep our positive programs coming to you 24/7. That's HealthyLife.net's advertiser page. Do us a favor. Visit soon and often. It's a win-win situation for you, our advertisers, and HealthyLife.net. Just do it. HealthyLife.net's advertiser page.
Want help quitting smoking? Try Premium e-cigarettes. They have an outstanding range of nicotine alternative products. Visit the HealthyLife.net advertiser page and click on Premium e-cigarettes.
The home for high-quality video is Vimeo. People who love videos love Vimeo. It's the community for indie filmmakers, popular entertainers, music videos. Even the White House posts high-def versions of its broadcasts on Vimeo. You can even upload and share your videos. So much to see, so little time. Visit HealthyLife.net's advertiser page and click on Vimeo and get started seeing and sharing great entertainment now.
Take one step towards Spirit. Spirit will take 1,000 steps toward you. Come explore the world of evolutionary astrology with Rose Marcus. Rose Marcus is well known for her heartfelt passion, sensitive counseling skills, and dedication to helping others. You can now study evolutionary astrology from the comfort of your own home through live teleconference classes with Rose. To register for the next Evolutionary Astrology School, to read your in-depth monthly horoscope, or to book a private astrology with Rose Marcus, please visit her website, www.rosemarcus.com.
HealthyLife.net, the Positive Radio Network.
All right, we are back. I'm here with Simon, Sweden, and we are discussing the Pluto and Scorpio generation. So I'll let you take it from here.
Thanks so much, Kristen. Okay. So, again, so much to go through. So, something that I wanted to touch on was the nature of how this evolutionary energy is moving through the Pluto and Scorpios, and what you kind of carry within your psyche. Now, I was talking a little bit about how the Pluto and Scorpios within inside of themselves carry this deep vulnerability, okay? Now, Scorpio as an archetype naturally carries that vulnerability within you, and that's because, well, from my point of view at least, because of its connection to Pisces and Cancer. Cancer needing internal security, and Pisces reflecting 360 degrees of openness, influencing Scorpio's archetype, where there's a need for safety and empowerment, and through not feeling vulnerable. And yet, the irony is that the evolution is in the vulnerability itself. So, again, as your themes, guys, let's look outside of the world at this point in time. We have the political situation in the States, which we can use as a way to really get to grips with what this story is about for you. Let's look at how vulnerable the world and you feel right now in terms of just the complete falling down and collapse of the civilization that once evolved itself through this way. Let's look at the way in which, when you went to school and predominantly when you were being raised, some of you carry the theme of the father being absent through either loss, okay, and so therefore creating a dynamic in which the authority figure or conditioning pattern is not available to you. The father was away a lot on business, which created the archetype of success and empowerment comes through intense amounts of hard work, but then also the abandonment of the emotional body through the absence of being at home. And again, these are not exact, but they are very broad, but very, very influencing themes. So part of your consciousness, you look at the world as you grow up, you're being imprinted, and you say, okay, empowerment looks like this, okay? And then you get the other archetype where there is the betrayal that occurred because mom and dad basically couldn't find a place within themselves in their relationship to work, and so therefore there was an affair or something happened, and you were shown that intimacy and trust is a very fragile and vulnerable thing, and so to open your heart to your own relationship dynamics in themselves can be incredibly tricky because there's so much of that mistrust, again, Scorpio, vulnerability. And in three of those things comes this very powerful theme of, do you trust your outer governments and authorities to have your best interest at heart? Do you trust that currently right now the president, and again, like I have no sides over here, so this is completely non-judgmental, but it's in the middle there, that the president does represent to a certain degree corporation and empowerment through success coming and power coming through patriarchy, right? And then, so you have, on one hand, you've got Trump, which is the dad figure for the Pluto and Scorpios, power, right? You just got to execute things, got to create boundaries and borders. And then you have Hillary, which represented more of the feminine archetype, but then, as you could see with your own mother in that sense, the feminine archetype not having an opportunity to actually be integrated into the world because of the patriarchal father being the provider. And so therefore we have the feminine wanting, rising, everybody having that, but then it not being accessible. Now all of a sudden it's gone, like press the feminine away. And these are very, very painful stories that we carry within our psyche of how the patriarchy and the matriarchy have been experienced within ourselves. And again, there's no judgment. The patriarchy manifested because that's how we chose to evolve. And we're breaking those patterns, Uranus, Neptune conjunction in Capricorn. So we are right now at a point in which you, as the Scorpio generation, get this opportunity to look at the world as you were growing up, look at what was conditioning you, look at what shut down you emotionally Okay, and again, there's not every single one of you carry this in that sense. So it's not like everybody has this trauma, but to a certain degree you are conditioned by it. But coming back to this, so you're growing up with this conditioning, you see this, and then as you grow up to where you are right now, between the ages of 21 and 32, you're seeing that now the governmental structures represent early life imprinting. But this time around, you kind of get this opportunity to say, okay, now I'm a little bit older, I can respond to this as a way of where I really am with inside, which is mutation, which is seeing through the facade, seeing through the lies that are spawned in governmental structures that have only one agenda, which is empowerment. Okay, so whose side are you taking? Pluto and Scorpio, black and white. Are you empowered or disempowered? And each of you carry this theme, and it's as you're looking out in the world, it's manifesting in front of you. And as Pluto goes over the Uranus-Neptune conjunction, and as it goes over through Capricorn, this whole entire experience will begin to shift your perspective, where it will create the very catalyst for your evolution, in my opinion, as you begin to respond to this. And the response is, okay, so how do we recreate and rebuild a civilization and a structure that embodies the empowerment in a higher spiritual way? And when I say spiritual way, I mean, what does it mean to live life where you're not just living for existence, survival, but you're living for the experience of higher meaning? There must be a higher meaning to this experience. It can't just be this way. And so that's where the evolution of this Uranus-Neptune conjunction, that's where, to me, the highest vibration of that conjunction that you guys carry is being brought through. Neptune, inspiration, meaning into the Capricorn structures, the new structures, the healing, the dissolving of boundaries, right? Notice now in the world, everywhere you see this, there's at least one meme that says, we are all one. And there's something really, really, we have to be very clear about that statement. It's not all one in the sense that we just drop all our boundaries and then completely allow abuse to exist within us and say, oh, it's all fine, it's all an illusion. It's not about that. It's about recognizing that we each have a role to play in our own individual stories as a way to connect and unite us as a tribe, Uranus. Okay, Uranus is the individuality and bringing together a new society in which we accelerate our evolution and bring spirit into matter. And this is what I feel. And the way that you're going to do that is by basically healing yourselves and what is needed for you, which is, from what I've seen so far, many of you are desiring to maybe start a family. Many of you have already got children right now, very young babies between, the Pluto and Capricorn generation, which is fascinating to me, to give birth to Pluto and Capricorn babies. I don't know if anybody's seen on the internet. I highly recommend going to Google it quickly. It's called Little Bosses. It's a film that's just come out, or it's
Little
coming
Bosses?
out. Alex Baldwin in it. And it's these little babies that you can see have clearly got Pluto and Capricorn energy in them, and it's hilarious. I don't want to spoil it. Oh,
right. I saw the preview for that. Oh, my God.
It's like, I'm Pluto and Libra, but I'm literally on the cusp with the Pluto and Scorpio, and that's why I feel such a strong connection to them, because it's like I'm on the other side saying, I'm just finishing up Pluto and Libra lessons, but I'm also feeling the Pluto and Scorpio vibe. So I've got two Pluto and Capricorn kids, and they are all about emotional growth. They're all about teaching us what it means to develop and our emotional reality, to evolve through the emotional body. Like, to me, that's what they're about. Mm-hmm. And they've got Neptune in Pisces, of course, and most of them have got Uranus in Aries, and some of them have got Uranus in Pisces to any degree. But these kids are all about they're these little souls that are incredible. They've got the strong sense of direction, even from the age of 2. Trust me, I know. And their capacity to, what we can do, the Pluto and Scorpios, this is your healing, this is what I mean. You can allow your own way in which you wanted to be nurtured when you were growing up as a way of nurturing these kids, and they support that process. They want that. They want that nurture that you wanted when you were growing up for their own evolutionary dynamics, okay? And it's not like we don't all want the same nurturing, but to you it's a very sensitive and specific thing. It's like right now we have the internet, and the capacity to work from home is a lot stronger. So I see a lot of Pluto and Scorpio families having a lot more time at home Their frequency, their vibration is different. They take longer when it comes to processing emotional realities. You know, there's a lot more space. There's Netflix now. You can sit around and kind of be a lot more chilled. Whereas for us, Kristen, and you know, we were grown up, and it's like by the age of 21, you need to have your stuff together. You need to be going off to college and figuring out your life, etc. Whereas I feel like life doesn't work like that. That's a conditioning pattern. That's something that is around old dynamics that no longer serve us anymore. And the Pluto and Scorpios, you guys carry this frequency of what I call is like a mutation within your DNA. It's like an energy jump in which the world that you see today and the world that you naturally operate on with inside of yourself are like so far apart that it's difficult to find where you belong in the world because there's such a mismatch. And it's like, as you try to connect with the world, you go, damn, this place is mad. It's crazy. We're not going to stand for it. So that's why we have somebody like, to me, Trump in power, where you spoke about it earlier. He doesn't represent a politician. And you look at all the people that have like pushed for the illusion to be broken. It's like you can see the Pluto and Scorpios don't want to vote for a person that's a politician because it represents Capricorn. It represents the old regime, the old structure. They want somebody completely new in, so they could. But at the same time, what is available to them right now is somebody that represents the father figure from when they were growing up, which was still the patriarchal kind of like, we'll do what's necessary, versus more of a nurturing kind of protective, supportive, here's youth that wants to grow. How do we develop structures that supports more social understanding? Remember, you guys, you've got your Pluto polarity point that's in the second house, and you've got Uranus and Neptune's polarity point in Cancer. You want to come into this process and nurture. You want into this process to honor individuality. You want to come into this process and allow for us to be able to understand empowerment from within. And yet, are those evolutionary dynamics truly supported in our culture? No, not yet at least. Mm-hmm. So right now it's a very big mismatch between what you guys are and what the world represents. And it's just kind of waiting for this thing to collapse completely so that you can then, out of the ashes, rebirth yourselves and then eventually create the new society in which we can then intimately begin to create with and exist with, setting up the Pluto and Sagittarius generation, which is a completely different vibration. I mean, these kids they're on a different plane.
I know, yeah. I've got a couple of
They really don't know what's going on here. It's just bad. Like, how did we even get here?
I think we have to move to a break. Again, we've spilled into our last segment, but we'll do that quickly. Am I right, Jay? Okay, so we'll just actually keep going 3 more minutes.
Okay.
All right, great.
Cool. So I sincerely hope that I haven't,
no, go for
used up all the time here in that sense. Maybe you wanted to say something.
No, I love it. Keep going.
Cool. So things that I wanted to mention that I really want to emphasize is that family means a lot to you. Integration of what it means to empower yourself through connectivity. And you're learning a lot about that right now. You're learning a lot how to heal some of the emotional trauma that you carry around your woundedness, where there's the heart that's been shut down. I mean, you grew up when 9/11 took place. I mean, how do you feel that everything's on a knife's edge? And there's just things going on that tells you that life's so fragile. And yet at the same time, there's this beautiful opportunity to breathe life into an experience that we can all begin to see and feel in a way that is about nurturing and establishing new structures that supports emotional sensitivity. I mean, every single one of you, to a certain degree, has had at least once in your life the conversation of, this food doesn't sit with me right. I can't eat this junk food. I'm gluten sensitive, or I'm, milk sensitive. All these types of things. Did you notice that they became really, really popular around that time, and even amplified even more as Uranus and Neptune went into Aquarius and Pisces? I mean, as we begin to decondition ourselves from the way in which our old bodies used to work, and this beginning phase of this new, highly sensitive body, so that we can feel the emotional body and the astral body, etc., and we can become more intimately connected with connecting the emotional body to the physical sense, we can begin to see that so much of our food doesn't work with our digestive tract. We can see that the Pluto and Virgos that are coming onto the planet now in a way of saying, hey, by the way, guys, I want to really, really serve. And I'm going to show you through my process where there's like loads and loads of things that are not healthy for you, right? You see it popping up all over the internet, new ways to eat food that's very, very intimately connected with nature and all this type of stuff. Pluto and Scorpios, loving colonics, as an example. You know, really, really clear out the stuff. And like a lot of it's just your body is so sensitive to the things that are not good for us.
Yeah.
So, you know, and loads of you guys right now are carrying this feeling inside of you of like, look, you know, the foods that we eat in this way, they never supported us. And a lot of them are becoming like vegetarian and vegan in that sense. Some of you are still holding on to patterns within yourself, and that's okay completely. That, you know, Scorpio will work with that, or Pluto will work with that. But when you see the theme here, it's about getting in touch with the emotions. It's about healing and nurturing a community, a tribe, by becoming part of a relationship where you are able to express yourself the way that you wanted to be nurtured when you were growing up, and nurture your children as you begin to start your families. Very, very young families at the stage that are putting in a lot of energy into this experience of saying, okay, I want to build a house and I want to support my family. I want to be there for my child because my dad wasn't available to me, not because he chose to, but because maybe the trauma and the conditioning patterns at that time didn't support the way in which I feel. And so I get to do that right now. And as you kind of just begin to intimately deal with the family healing process and begin to invest more of your values into the world that are deeply connected with soul, and as you begin to get into evolutionary astrology or any form of self-reflected consciousness work, that you begin to empower and share and help us step out of the realm that we have been conditioned in the past and break down those structures and illusions and empower us from the inside out. And that's what you bring to us. That's what you share with us. And it's all about the empowerment process. It's all about the mutation. It's all about allowing us to mutate. I mean, Scorpio, Pluto correlates to DNA, RNA. It is mutation.
Absolutely. Yeah, it is. This generation will help everybody evolve, help the planet evolve, push, help, you know, bringing everybody to the limit of themselves, and those that are in Pluto and Scorpio's life, like the parents of these children and the partners and etc.
That's right. That's right. And just to know that as you look outside in the world, the madness that you're seeing is the weren't. That's not, you're sensitive to that person. We all are here, so it's not like exclusive to them, but it's a little bit coincidental that Uranus-Neptune conjunctions in Capricorn and Pluto's moving over that right now, and you're watching the world like literally crumble as we begin to reinvest in a way in which is not of the past. We're completely and utterly into a new state. I mean, just think about the way that we interact on social media. That was never around so many years ago. That's just one way to see it.
Well, that was excellent. Thank you so much. And for those of you that haven't connected with Simon, you can find him on his website, simonforster.com. That's SIMON, V as in Victor, ORSTER.com. Looking forward to next time. As always, thank you so much, and we'll be back here next week with Rose Marcus looking at the transits for the coming month. And oh my goodness, do we have an eclipse coming up on February 26th. Hold on to your hat, world. That's going to be wild and potentially dangerous for this planet, but let's hope for the best and hope that there's a transformative positive outcome for us all. All right, take care. Until next time, namaste.